Opel was founded in Germany in 1862 by Adam Opel, initially as a manufacturer of sewing machines. However, in 1886, the company began producing bicycles. By 1899, 4 years after Adam Opel himself died, they had entered the automobile market with the release of their first car, the Opel Patent Motor Wagon. It was Adam Opel's wife Sophie and their sons who made the venture into automobile production. Throughout the early 20th century, Opel established itself as a reputable car brand in Europe, releasing popular models such as the Opel 1012 PS and the 48 PS. In 1929, General Motors acquired a majority stake in the company, and by 1931, GM had fully acquired Opel, making it a subsidiary of the American corporation. In the late 1920s, Fritz von Opel, grandson of Adam Opel, conducted a series of experiments with rocket-powered cars and planes. This was done as much for publicity as for scientific reasons. He made several different rocket cars named Rack 1, Rack 2, Rack 3 and Rack 4. There was great progression between the attempts. The Rack 1 reached a speed of just 75 km an hour on its first run, while the Rack 3 got up to 254 km an hour. Neither of the attempts were viable for practical use, and the experiments were stopped after the Rack 3 jumped the track and was destroyed, and the Rack 4 blew up on the track. The one enduring legacy of the stunts was that he was the first person to successfully assemble and fly a purpose-built rocket-powered airplane. This was because the Opel Sander Rack 1 rocket plane managed almost 2 kilometers of flight in 80 seconds in 1929. During the 1930s, Opel continued to release popular models such as the Opel Olympia and the Opel Capitan, and also the more prestigious Opel Admiral. The company also expanded its production facilities, building a new factory in Brandenburg, Germany. However, the onset of World War II had a significant impact on Opel's operations. The company's factories were used to produce military vehicles for the German war effort, and civilian car production came to a halt. After the war, Opel's factories were heavily damaged, and the company faced significant challenges in rebuilding. However, with the help of the British military government, which controlled the western zones of occupied Germany, Opel was able to restart production. The first post-war car from Opel was the Opel Olympia, which was similar to the pre-war model and was produced from 1947 to 1953. In the 1950s and 1960s, Opel continued to release successful models, such as the Opel Rekord P1 and the Opel Kadett. The company also expanded its production facilities and began exporting cars to other countries, particularly in Europe. Opel became one of the leading car manufacturers in West Germany, with a market share of around 25%. During this time, Opel made a significant contribution to the German economy, providing jobs and helping to rebuild the country after the war. The company also played a key role in the development of the German automobile industry, helping to establish it as one of the leading industries in Europe. During this time, Opel continued to release successful models, such as the Opel Rekord P2 in 1960, the Opel Kadett A in 1962, and the top-of-the-line Opel Diplomat in 1964. The Opel 1900 Rally Kadett came out in 1967 and was well represented in the RAC Rally Championships and other races. In the 1960s and 1970s, the Opel Manta and the Opel GT became popular sports cars. And in the late 70s, the Opel Senator and the Opel Monza came out. In the 1980s, Opel faced financial struggles due to a combination of factors. One of the main challenges was the increasing competition from other car manufacturers, particularly from Asian and European companies. Additionally, Opel's product lineup was not well adapted to changing consumer preferences, which led to declining sales. Another significant factor that contributed to Opel's financial difficulties in the 1980s was the high exchange rate of the German mark, which made it more expensive for Opel to export its cars. This led to a decline in export sales and increased pressure on the company's finances. In an attempt to address these challenges, Opel implemented several cost-saving measures, such as reducing its workforce and closing some of its production facilities. The company also developed new models, such as the Opel Corsa and the Opel Omega. The Corsa was a small car that was designed to appeal to younger buyers, while the Omega was a large executive car, which was aimed at more affluent customers. Both of these models were well received and helped to boost Opel's sales and market share. Despite these efforts, Opel continued to struggle financially throughout the 1980s. In 1985, General Motors had to provide significant financial assistance to the company in order to keep it afloat. The situation improved in the mid-80s with the launch of the Opel Vectra model, but the company's financial troubles persisted. In the late 80s, GM and Opel management did a strategic review and implemented a recovery plan, which eventually led to Opel returning to profitability in the early 1990s. In the 1990s, Opel continued to release new models and improve its existing product lineup. One of the most notable models of this decade was the Opel Astra, which was launched in 1991. The Astra was a compact car that was designed to compete with other popular models in the European market, such as the Volkswagen Golf and the Ford Escort. The Astra quickly became one of Opel's best-selling models and was very well received by customers and critics alike. Other models of the late 1980s and 90s include the Opel Vectra, Opel Calibra and Opel Tigra. During the 1990s, Opel also focused on expanding its production facilities and improving its manufacturing processes. The company invested in new technologies and equipment, which helped to improve the quality and efficiency of its operations. Overall, the 1990s was a decade of stability and growth for Opel, as the company was able to improve its financial situation and establish itself as a reputable car brand in Europe. In the new millennia, models like the Opel Speedster, Signum, Meriva, Insignia and the Opel Adam came out, with more recent models including the Emperor E, Crossland and Grandland. In 2017, the French PSA Group acquired Opel, and in 2021, PSA merged with the Italian-American Fiat Chrysler Automobiles to form Stellantis, who is the current custodian of the Opel brand. Opel is currently focusing on electric and hybrid vehicles, with plans to make all of its models electric or hybrid by 2024, in line with the PSA and later Stellantis Group's commitment to reducing CO2 emissions and meeting European emissions regulations. The Opel Emperor E, which was launched in 2016, was the first all-electric vehicle of the brand, and since then, Opel has been continuously investing in electric technology and research. With the latest models such as the Opel Mokka E and the Opel Corsa E, Opel is making great strides in the electric vehicle market and is poised to become one of the leaders in this field in the near future. Overall, Opel has a long and rich history in the automobile industry, dating back over a century. The brand has seen its fair share of ups and downs, but it remains a popular choice among European car buyers. And now, as part of the Stellantis group, Opel is set to continue its legacy for many years to come.